We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance first, folks. Once TV's on. Are you ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. All right, so at 6 o'clock we have board member update. Anybody have anything since for 10 days ago we were here? Good? You good, Delisa?
Yep, I have nothing new.
I'm all set.
Anna? Violet?
I have a question. Do you know about a plan from Park and Rec to take over Fay Park?
Take over Fay Park?
Yeah, cut down trees, make a parking lot.
No way.
What?
That's what I've heard. That's the story I've heard. I just wanted to see if anybody here had heard it.
Have you?
No, no.
Okay.
Fay Park?
Thank you.
Yep,
Are you-
no. The third Thursday event will be happening in Fay Park this Thursday evening. It's a big to-do in the middle of the park area there, working with the existing.
I don't think they're gonna get anywhere cutting trees down and paving Fay Park. My guess. I could be wrong, but
That would be
my guess would be that they
that
wouldn't
would
be
be
able
my
to.
wish.
Okay. All right, well, nobody else. How about minutes?
Meeting schedule
Okay.
for August. So the next meeting is Thursday, July 14th. And then the August meeting, we have a little bit of a scheduling issue. I'm not available that first week. I believe Anna said she's not available the second week. Third week is not good.
Yeah, I'm not available.
But, so,
Any days, first or second week? Are you just not available the whole week? Third week, I can do Thursday the 17th.
You want to do it maybe earlier in the week?
I don't care. I'll have nothing going on that week. I'll just, just pop down for an hour.
okay, I will,
What are we saying it is? In August?
Wait, no, it'd be Thursday the 18th, Friday the 19th, Saturday's the 20th. It'd be the 18th, off the top of my head.
And it's Thursday 18th.
I have,
But we could, I mean, I am open if you wanted to do it the 16th or 17th as well.
Well, but that's a week of, so.
I don't care.
So for the 4th, Maureen, you're out that whole week?
yeah.
And you're out the whole following week.
Yes.
Well, I don't care doing it my week. Listen to me. That week, I can squeeze off an hour for you. It'd probably be a welcome diversion. I'm not
So that's
getting
what I'm
chased.
saying, so couldn't we do it the 16th or 17th?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do
16th
it
or
earlier in the
17th, good.
week?
Sure. And so we would just have to know by July 14th meeting exactly which date it is, and I'll work out what
We're
meeting
not
date is
really-
available.
We don't have a lot for July anyway, right? We have Monarch, we're gonna continue Monarch Drive till then.
Right, well, it depends on a couple of new applications that might come in.
Yeah, the cell tower stuff. Okay. Yeah, so,
Okay, thank you.
well,
Sorry
we'll
about
leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
messing with your schedule.
Whatever date works for everybody. Okay, minutes, anybody have any issues with the minute? Did you send any out or no? No minutes?
Nope, Lucia is still covering for Janet's position, and
Okay.
I'm still working without her, so.
Annual signature authority memo, what the hell's that about?
We got the annual memo from Accounting Department asking for who the planning board wants to have sign payroll and bills. Recently, last couple of years, Mark's been signing on behalf of the board. If you want to keep doing it that way, or the chairman can sign on behalf of the board. If you want to keep doing it that way, just take a vote to do that, or if you would rather have a quorum, sign.
Do you,
Those-
care?
So when, I know that when I first started, we used to pass around the folder, look at all the expenses and then sign them. So I think that provides greater transparency. I don't know who else was on the board, maybe Delisa when you did that, so.
I don't care if you want to sign them at meetings. Doesn't matter to me. I get the
And it's just-
DocuSign, I usually sign their payroll.
It's another 45 minutes of work to do that, but. we can do it.
Yeah, it saves Maren a ton of work.
Yeah.
So how about if we do a couple, how about if I still sign all the payroll, because that comes in on a weekly basis? And if we have any outstanding bills, you want to bring them, will that work?
Every 2 weeks, and, yeah, bills, we've had so few,
Yeah, we don't, it's not like we have a lot. So why don't we
That
continue
works.
it that way? Is everybody good with that?
right, because payroll is consistent, it's voted at town meeting and
Right, yeah.
according to the schedule, so. Okay.
I keep seeing funny names on our payroll thing. Who are these extra people that are all on the list? I'm just kidding. It's always the same. It's DocuSign.
All right, Mark, we can do it here then, if there's extra funny names.
No, there's nothing. It's only 2 people. I can handle 2 people.
Right.
So we'll do it that way. Does that work? Everybody good with that? Do we have to take a vote on that? Or is my word good enough?
And the minutes will reflect if that's all right with.
Okay. What else? Do we have any other board business to deal with?
We're already behind schedule.
That's only 2 minutes. I can catch, I'm good. I can catch it up. I can catch up like 15 minutes, no problem at all. I'm good at this. So our next, Maren, when's our next meeting?
The next meeting is Thursday, July 14th.
Does anybody have a problem with conflict? Bartlett, are you good with July 14th?
I'll make it happen.
Okay. Yeah, yes, okay. All right, good. So we have a 6:05 here for Water Department, Water Resource Special Permit for the wastewater treatment facility at 242 King Street. Anybody here for that?
So the new information that we got from the water department was a new planting plan. Control, it's set up for you. Planting plan, and that came in shortly before the meeting, the prior meeting, and we have a draft decision that was available immediately before the last meeting, so it wasn't enough time for board members to review.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the draft decision? Anyone have any questions or issues with it?
I just have a couple questions.
Okay.
So condition number 4 talks about the property being subdivided. And so I was just curious how the property is being subdivided, and is the house being turned over to the Affordable Housing Trust?
The applicant didn't provide any information on disposition of the existing home.
There's been talk, I know Cindy Napoli has spoken with the water department about the potential of donating the house to the veterans. And I have spoken to him with as well, to try to leave it as a veterans house. It lends itself better to a home like that as opposed to 1 or 2, because it's a two-family unit now. So that has been the talk, but the talk is at some point to break it off for some sort of, whether it's going to go to for senior housing or veteran housing, but that's why they want the ability to break it off. That's as much as I know about it, just that Cindy and I have both spoken with them.
Right.
Anything else?
The only thing that I could see from the peer review was that our board needed to define whether or not there should be a signature on the O&M plan of the responsible party. It says we defer to the board whether this is acceptable. So,
And my recommendation is yes, to require the signature of the property owner on the stormwater O&M plan.
One of the water department commissioners or sewer
yeah,
commissioners, okay.
so that should be something that is added as a condition.
So in the, yep, happy to do that.
So those are my only questions.
Okay. Bartlett? Oh, you're good? Jeff?
Nope.
Felisa? No? I think we're all good. I think we're all ready to vote the approval with the conditions that Maren has graciously laid out for us.
With the one amendment.
With the one amendment about ownership of it, and
With the one amendment about signature on the stormwater.
that's, yeah,
Right.
signature from ownership. Okay, anyone want to make a motion to approve the special permit with the conditions as written for this meeting?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that's the final hurdle in our water, on our sewage, town sewage. We got that over. Let's look at that, Jeff. I'm only like 2 minutes behind now. 30, an A&R for 6 and 10 Shaker Lane, no new lots. This one's gonna take like 2 minutes. I'll catch up time on this one. Is anyone here for that? Yes.
Hey, I'm Chris McNary. I'm from Plnbrd Associates.
Okay. You wanna give us an overview of what you're proposing to do here?
There's a parcel in the back that's currently a portion of the house to the left,
It's 2H.
and that's going to be added to the house to the right.
So it's not a land swap, it's just moving it over. It's not a buildable lot. Doesn't make either one of them, doesn't add anything to either one of them, it appears.
No, they'll both end up being buildable lots, but the parcel is not.
Aren't there already houses on it?
Yes,
Yeah. But weren't they always buildable lots?
yes.
There's no septics proposed over there, it's just a swap between neighbors?
Yes.
Board have any questions or concerns?
No.
Nope.
So, I'll entertain a motion to approve the A&R with the added lot, what's that called? What's that lot number? What'd you call it?
Parcel X.
Parcel X. Adding parcel X to 10,
May I-
6, yeah, my
Slide.
The A&R as presented.
H1B, adding parcel X to H1B. Okay,
No, adding it to
what?
H2.
So parcel X now is part of H1B?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be part of.
So it's going
H-
back to.
H2.
Yeah, okay.
H2B.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What he said.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna sign a Mylar for you.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Tell you what, one-stop shopping here tonight. How many copies do you want on, two?
Sure.
Can you get us back 2 of these signed?
Yes.
I don't usually give you all that information, but we have a packed house and I want people to think I know what I'm doing.
Do you want this one signed or just 3?
Okay,
3 then.
we don't, why are you signing these?
Oh, because it's helpful.
All right, now you don't, we have signed copies. So you don't have to give us one, we're signing the paper. Do you need a pen? I got a pen. Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have 6:15, continued public hearing, amended Higger Homestead consolidation decision, special permit, add 2 units to the federal.
So.
Bruce, I'm on schedule, I'd like to stay on schedule here. Right? No problem?
All of them?
I didn't think
Just
so.
signing those two?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind signing the 2 of the paper copies, that'd be great.
2?
Yeah,
Okay.
at least 2.
Is there anyone here for Monarch Drive, by the way? The public hearing for Monarch Drive? Site plan? Just wanted to tell you, it's been continued, so you you're here for that, you don't need to wait around for us. You're more than welcome, but you don't need to. All right, so Hager,
Okay, so if you recall, let's see, last meeting, they had presented a modification. We have a draft decision in front of you now. If there are any questions, you can do that during the public hearing if you wish, before you close that.
we already have.
You haven't closed the hearing on this one.
Okay. Any questions you wanna, go ahead.
So, let's see. Let me find it, so go ahead and go to anybody else.
So Bruce found two things for me on the draft decision. Page 2, in the background, number 3, there was half a sentence there. It says, noting that the planning board fully supports the developer's decision to withdraw the option of demolition and replacement of the federal house.
Oh, instead of the semicolon.
Yes, yes, thank you.
I also want to note that I think when the original, my name is on it as clerk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. That and the date for town clerk's signature. I need to update that.
Lauren, could you reread that statement about?
Yep. So the decision has the first part of it, noting that the planning board fully supports the developer's decision to, and then we add, withdraw the option of demolition and replacement of the federal house. The reason I put that in was because the architectural sketches show both options when that was submitted. So when we refer to it, wanted to clarify that the board is looking at the applicant is now requesting the rehabilitation of that building.
Okay. And so I have a question on the decision.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So under number 3, findings, which is on page 2, halfway through that paragraph, it says, the project also provides approximately 8 affordable units and 2 market units. So I'd like the word approximately to be removed.
I thought it was exactly 10. I don't know why it's 8.
Well, you
Eight-
either
eight
build
plus
it or you
2.
don't. There is no approximate.
Okay. Anything else? Violet, do you have any issues?
No.
Lisa?
Nope.
Jeff?
Nope.
Anyone in the audience here for this? The Hager Homestead, the old Guskowski property that's being renovated at this time? Nope. Okay. So first we need to close the hearing.
I move to close the hearing on the modification of the Higger Homestead senior residential development decision.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor of closing the hearing signify by saying aye.
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 And the modification and the conditions that go with it, and just for people if they haven't had a chance, because a lot of people haven't seen it, modification's about adding 2 more units to the total at Hager Homestead in order to enable the developer to save the house because of the terrible condition of the basement, the substructure down in the basement, the joists and everything else that's gone with it, to save it rather than replace it. And that's why we're giving them 2 more units. We have the conditions of approval. I'll entertain a motion to approve the conditions of approval as presented. I'll second that one.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No, to be consistent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Now, so we have, our 6:45 has been continued to,
So the next meeting would be Thursday, July 14th. We could do this one like 6:15 PM, close to the beginning of the meeting.
doesn't sound like we're gonna have a lot going on, so why don't we put them,
Okay, well, actually, I guess that begs the question, do you want to start the July meeting at 6 or 6:30?
I'm still good with 6. Everybody good with 6?
I give up.
Are you good? Are you good with 6?
For what?
Doing our meetings, keeping our meetings at 6 o'clock.
So much to do.
Well, do you want to do 6:30?
I would always prefer 6:30, that extra 30
Do you
minutes.
care?
is really-
I would prefer 6:30 also.
Oh, yes.
So why don't we start, starting in July, 6:30? Of course, I'll
Okay.
remind us too, because we forget.
Sounds good. So then we could continue this, the public hearing for 1 Monarch Drive to Thursday, July 14th at 6:45 PM.
Okay.
I would recommend you vote on that continuance.
Do you want to vote on that? Yes?
Recommend you do.
I'll entertain a motion to push this meeting off till July something or other,
14th.
14th at 6:45.
No, not the meeting, the hearing.
The hearing, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll second that.
All those in favor, by saying aye, aye.
Aye.
Really, we had to do that for that?
Thank you.
Good. Anything else? We have a little time to take care of board business. Anything else? Oh, you asked me a question earlier about having the,
No, but we have an hour.
oh, almost.
What do we-
We have an hour?
Well, yeah, they canceled, and we gave them,
Can we go somewhere and do our executive session?
no, because our lawyer isn't even here yet. Now we can't even do that.
You can take a break.
Either that, or do you want to talk about, you wanted to bring in the bicycle advisory group to talk to us, or?
Well, let's see, thank you for the question. The Select Board voted to authorize the contract with MAPC to do the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. That's funded in part by the mitigation funds for the North Bridge site, and MAPC is putting in $20,000 of matching funds to do the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. And so kickoff for that will be shortly, and we could do a update at the July 14th planning board meeting if you wanted to do that, kind of combine it. So that the kickoff has a big forum on where to start.
We also have did you let everyone know about the Amazon, the
That was my next question.
photo op? Why don't we talk about that very briefly?
Northbridge has worked with Amazon to offer a photo op for the donation of the department, the significant amount of land to the water department for a new well site, right behind their new Amazon facility. So Wednesday, June 29th at 1 o'clock.
Will it be obvious where we're supposed to go?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
In the parking lot, I would assume,
Yeah.
somewhere down by where the turtles are and everything else is.
I haven't seen any details on that.
So this is fine, it's taken about a year, but it's nice that the Amazon and Northbridge are being, get some nice press out of it, for lack of a better word, for donating the 58 acres that the town is gonna put a well site into. So I don't know who scheduled it or who worked it out, but I'm assuming there'll be local press there, maybe somebody of relative importance other than, just us.
The Turtle Man, maybe the Turtle Man will
Turtle
be
Man
there.
will be there, yeah.
So the initial request came through the water department, so I'm not sure who else they're coordinating with. But Northbridge LCTV will be there to take photos.
Oh, good.
I'd like to see the parking lot.
Yeah, no, you haven't yet?
No? Well, I went when it was near completion, and they had a security guard there, so I didn't go in.
Well, I didn't know they even were gonna have a security guard there, wow.
I was going to say, I recall that part of the discussion.
You do?
Yeah, because of the vans and.
Yeah, you're right, now that you mentioned, you're right, but, yeah. And we haven't heard anything, it's been up and running for a while, and they seem to be listening to what we told them to do. Not a ton of Amazon vans in the neighborhoods.
How many vans have been registered? In the
I asked
town?
one of that a long time ago, so so to get us in.
So I'll check with the assessor's office,
Okay.
see what they could share
Just
with us.
curious
We
about.
did forward it on to them, because at first they were temporary vans,
Yeah,
so they were registered in New Hampshire, but Maren did send them a letter that, as per your special permit, that the vans will be registered in Littleton, so we can get the excise taxes for that, so we'll just follow up on that one. Anything else? Anything else going on? Oh, you want some help with the transfer development rights? You want to try to schedule a meeting to all of us meet together on that? Or are you still too far away from that?
No, okay, I'll schedule a meeting.
Okay, well, do you want to try to, you want to do it in June or July if we're that, I mean, July or August if we're that slow?
Sure, July.
July? You want to, so far we only have one thing. Do you want to try to put it on the agenda for July?
Yep.
Can we do that?
I'm sure.
Sure. See, I didn't forget Bartlett. I remember.
Thank you.
We have an Affordable Housing Trust meeting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Another barn burner. Anyone, anything else? What else? What else we got going on?
there's a little bit going on the Northern Bank site. They removed the oil tanks.
Oil the tanks out of
Yeah.
the old gas station. We haven't heard, they haven't requested to come in yet, have they?
No, they haven't. They've asked about the upcoming meeting schedule, so now I can share with them, or I shared with him the July date, and now I can share with them the
Okay.
August date, so.
So, yeah, we have no idea what's going on. Anybody have any questions? Nah. Kind of quiet for that. What else? Anything else you want to share? Anything else?
Spent so much time working on all
I know,
the decisions for this
in fairness to
evening.
Maren, and let's give kudos to Maren. Maren's been doing yeoman duty all by herself to get the Mass Works grant, which is a $19 million ask of the state for the sewer, the infrastructure that goes with it. So we went from 6 million to 19 million now. So with inflation, you know. So that's where, so that had to be done by a week ago last Friday. And to go back and forth with all the decisions that we're dealing with this evening, Maren's little typewriter's been melted.
There you go.
So yeah, thank you, Maren. You did a great job getting everything done, listening to everybody's input all this past week to, you know,
Yeah, well, the developers team made it really easy on both of those.
yes.
Still a lot of work, thank you, but.
Mr. Freiberg?
Yes.
Good, Mr. Freiberg. Mr. Freiberg.
I was musing, we've just been so busy, and at some point when all this flurry of activity is approved and everything, I'd be curious as to an estimate of the, construction value of all the things that have been approved. I mean, it's gonna be, 9 figures. Well, no, that's 9, yeah. And I don't know, I think it's interesting. I mean, part of our board's role is to shepherd the economic, development of the town so we can afford the things that we need to afford. And I think it's, there should be some mark of the accomplessment. I don't know who does that. It's not a priority.
Did
but
you
I'm
get a
curious.
flat fee, or were you working on commission?
No, yeah, I have a percentage.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I took the flat fee, I screwed up.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. We should really step back and think about what we've done in the past year. We got a rezone, we got the sewer 20-year sewer passed, and now we're on the verge of approving the master plan special permit for what's gonna go. Basically, for the sewer and everything else in the common. And we've done it all between us and the selectmen and the water department and everyone else. We've done it all within a year, or a little more than a year.
Well, the issue is the town's people are always identifying needs. We have a senior center coming online, there's a school that's coming up, and we could not necessarily afford all that if these other things weren't going on.
my guess is that what we're looking at tonight is $300 or $400 million easily.
I think ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of help with the taxes, as they'll never go down. There's no way they're ever gonna go down, but maybe they'll slow down or stop for a while.
And
but
maybe
yeah.
we could get more for what we pay.
Oh, come
Oh, we'll
on.
certainly go more amenities. you
Yeah,
know, so.
that would be the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been busy, and honestly, Mar's shouldered
Yes.
most of it. Yeah.
So that's actually a great segue. So I know we asked Marin last week how the department meetings went, and I think that to the degree that we can advocate to our colleagues on the select board to make sure that the assistant planner role gets approved for the next budget cycle, that would be really great. I see one select board member here.
They should all be here sooner. Like we can buttonhole them all pretty soon.
Well, I mean, there will come a point, if not, we're here already, where the lack of staffing for that department impacts what we need to do.
Poor Maura may just say one day, you know what?
And gone.
Adios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The great resignation.
Don't encourage her.
Interesting that you should say that this popped up in my memories 2 years ago this week. Town meeting vote on form-based code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite town meeting because of the nice sunny day and
So that's a picture of us all outdoors. Like that was the
It was
first.
nicer when we could
six
that
feet
outside.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and since that time,
Look at what we've gone
Form-based
through,
code
even with COVID.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's been a lot. So, Mara, do we have a time frame while we're from the water department about? I know there's talk about being about a 2-year process, right?
yeah, for construction of town sewer. So they hope to go to bid, so I'm gonna be guessing, and I'm sure Corey will correct me when he sees this. Go to have bids in hand, to be able to start construction this fall. So they're finishing up the permitting process now. They still have additional work to do with DEP on the permitting. They're working through that, and then they'll send it out to bid and then start construction in the fall. So 12 to 18 months after that, then they'd be ready with the first sewer connections. So by 2024 and possibly 6 months before that.
Okay. So,
Quick.
yeah, quick. That's quick. Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah. Where we at? Oh, I know what I want to talk about. We have 5 minutes. We have to start working on the train station stuff. We've asked to have a meeting with the representatives of the line. When are we doing that Zoom call?
They reached out to us to meet, I think it's this upcoming week.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to be on it,
I don't remember if they're in person.
yeah, I completely
Yeah, are we
forgot about it till
in
just
person or-
now. So yeah, they bring a lawyer in to talk to us about what's the next step and what they want to see moving forward. And Maren can fill us in with where she is with the state on that one, but
Yeah, just like every other community, we're waiting for the final guidelines from DHCD. So,
but they would like to start the procedure to have something available for fall town meeting.
we're-
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
They've waited. So,
So actually, Mark, our meeting is in person with them this Thursday.
what time?
Who is them?
Them, sorry, Christine Hung, she's a attorney, I think, from Bronstein, Reamer and Bronstein. She's working with the owners of with the Longs, the owners of the 245 Foster Street site. So she and Robert and/or Nate will be in to talk with Mark and I, and we could have.
Yeah, if someone,
If
Well,
so-
if you
another-
pass along the time, you know,
Yeah.
it's possible.
okay, if they just want to talk about what's the next step. It's been in limbo for so long that they're getting anxious, I guess is the best way to put it, so. Okay, anything else? Oh, did we have the meeting after that? Maren and I met with the people from National Development in Sandbark. Did we already tell you that?
I don't think so.
It was,
Did you mention it last meeting?
I think so.
I thought I did.
Yeah, I think you
Did I
did.
already tell you, we talked to them about age-in-place housing at the Point.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, so they're gonna get together and see if it makes sense. I wouldn't hold a lot of, I don't think it does, but at least try to, I think it's a money issue. I don't think they're not willing to offer as much as Sam thinks it's worth or whatever to do it, but at least we put them together.
And there was something else there. It's gone.
Speaking of the Point, is anything going on with some of that sewer work that he needed to do?
That was completed.
Oh, it was, okay. So any news on more tenants or?
He's pretty much got it.
Right, they did an opening just, this past weekend for a new.
Yeah, for that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Maybe Mr.
Lamb
Mullen
shop.
can fill us in. Is the Point pretty much all the permits and everything for the Point done? Or is there still more stuff available?
We're anticipating an application, well, we've got the beginning of an application for a golf simulator slash
Yep.
event space, 2 doors down from the tavern. Party City is not owned by the Point LLC anymore.
No, it's
Market Basket, so
Market, yeah.
Not sure what their plans are with that building. Other than the pad site, it is 90+% occupied.
What about those other units, though, past Party City? Market Basket owns those as well,
Yeah.
They
right?
own the whole block, yeah.
Yeah, the whole.
So they could just sit vacant forever?
I believe that they're utilizing Sam Park's marketing team to try to get them filled.
Yeah.
What's happening in the market today might make it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are trying to fill it. Yeah. It's just, as Ed said, it's tough out there right now with the supply chain issues and everything else like that, so. And getting materials too, so.
It would be perfect for a Trader Joe's, but the Market Basket is not going to.
No.
And then on staffing news, the select board approved last night the pay rate for the new department coordinator assistant. So she will be starting within the next several weeks. So that's wonderful news. And then this week and next, we're helping with the interview process for the assistant conservation agent. So with any luck,
Okay.
we'll have another body there to help relieve some of Amy's stress.
We're all stressed, Marn. We're getting
Yeah.
old. One last thing, and I forget if we talked about it 2 weeks ago when we were here. The town took a look at the title house about the possibility of, did we tell you, have we talked about that? I forget, I'm getting old. The town went and looked at the possibility of getting the title house. The Poli company has graciously offered the title house to the town of Littleton if they want it. It's been renovated, great meeting room space, office space and everything else like that. Anthony went and looked at it. I think, Ed, you probably looked at it, right? You've been in the title house?
I've been outside, I didn't go in.
Oh. I went in, Myron went in.
I've been in it before, and the back part is just a big giant open
Yeah,
room. You know, bigger than this.
they're talking about maybe LCTV going in there,
Yeah.
so.
Maybe it would be a
So
good place for public meetings.
we have to look at making it handicapped accessible 100% and things like that, so I think they're in the middle of,
I personally hope they use it for something that's more public than LCTV. You know, like a bakery and cafe, or we could always lease it out. You know, it'd be perfect for that.
Well, but there will be other spaces for that.
Yeah.
we're gonna have a nice green with
I just think it, LCTV,
a nice fountain.
it's not something that's very public.
This big gaudy Italian fountain that looks like it came from Trevi, Italy or something will be
Right.
over there, and you can have your muffins and everything else like that. What more do you want? You want
Just saying.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the-
I think
and-
LCTV is
and
not a
there-
good use.
Well, I think that would be part of the building. The discussion I heard was the rest of the building would be good meeting space, because we're running out of good meeting rooms. So,
I mean, that's what digital used it for.
Yeah, it was corporate office space,
yeah.
meeting space, yeah. So it's kind of up to the selectmen right now to decide if they want it and when they want it.
Select board.
Select
Select
board
board.
thing, yeah. That thing, yeah, select people.
Maybe they could ask the town people what they would like to see in
Oh.
Tuttle House. Just saying. you know?
Coffee. We have Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts.
No,
What
I'm
else
just
do
saying,
you
I'm
want?
just saying.
We have
just,
like 3
you know,
Dunkin' Donuts.
I just
Yeah.
think that there could be something more interesting than putting an administrative office there. You know, it's a showcase property. It's right there on the main street. I just think there's possibly some more interesting uses.
I can't say I don't disagree with you on that one. A coffee shop is not one of them, but something else.
I just use that as an
I know
example.
you were just using it as a,
So,
we got another half hour still. to do
I know.
this.
Can we go outside and have a stroll
Do you
around?
want to take a break? I mean, I don't
They were
care.
playing pickleball
When
up
did
at the
they
tennis
cancel?
courts.
Like today?
No, but when we continued the public hearings from the last meeting, we
Yeah.
had to set a time. And so,
And once it's posted,
You're right.
you can't.
We can't change it now. So what we try to do, the ones that we think are gonna come through, we make sure they're on, we put the ones that might be iffy on the end, but
So I would concur with Jeff. I think we should pause the meeting and enjoy the sunshine outside.
I don't care.
Go look at the library.
Um,
Or get a karaoke machine from the senior place. And
Why don't we just call up and have a food truck brought down here too?
That's good, yeah.
I don't care. Do you want to take a 15-minute break, come back at 7?
well, we've got, the next thing is at 7:15.
7:10.
I think we could take a half-hour break.
I don't care. I'm gonna stick around, but yeah, if you want to do
A recess?
a recess, all right.
Excellent.
Do we need to say anything, and then we'll turn off the TV?
Well, the 3 people that are watching us on TV, we'll figure it out when we go black.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Ed, we will be sending you a letter on that thing we talked about, yeah. To give you something fun to do. All right,
I'm up for it.
you're up for it?
I was already working on it, a letter for them anyway, but
Okay. Are we good? We have a continued public hearing at 7:15. I think everybody that's important is here. Master plans, development, aquifer water resource district, sidewalk curb cut special permit, King Street Commons, 550 King Street, 550 King Street LLC. We're getting close, I can tell you, we're getting close, I can feel it. Now, Rick, you want to give us a brief overview of where we're at?
Sure.
No, excuse me, Mr. Freiberg, I'm sorry.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Rick Freiberg from TEC, civil engineer for the project. So we left off about 2 weeks ago, just a little short of 2 weeks ago. Sort of going over sort of final comments about the site concept. And also at the time, I think there was back and forth between town staff and town council with generating a decision. It's my understanding that the decision is now in your packets. Glance around to see it, I see that it is. And I think members have had an opportunity to review it. And so what we're hoping to do tonight is, the process obviously we've been through, we feel like the project has gotten a lot better through the public involvement process that we've gone through together for about a year now, if you start back when we first started talking about zoning. And we have a long way to go on the project. We'll be in front of the board many times for site plan reviews, going through the process, nailing down the details of each specific phase of it. We'll be back in front of you probably very shortly, I'm sure, to talk about traffic and those type of things that I know are sort of lingering out there, but need to be addressed before those first permits are issued. But I think for tonight, we want to stop it right there, and we look forward to discussing any questions you might have about the project or any of the conditions that you see in the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have draft decision. I think the best way to approach it is if we have questions or concerns, we'll go down it. Or do you want to just,
No, we can go down it. I think that's appropriate, given
The magnitude.
yeah, okay? I don't really think we need to do the hearing, the background. Do you want?
No.
I think we're good with determinations. I think conditions is probably what we should pick up, unless anyone has anything else they want to talk about. Criteria. Want to start. How about if we want to start with criteria? The proposal shall provide 10% of total housing units as affordable units up to 78 affordable units, 10% of 780 units. The affordable units may be provided on-site or off-site within Littleton or combination thereof, subject to review and approval of the planning board. 40 of the affordable units shall be deeply affordable, ranging from an AMI of 30% AMI to up to 60% AMI for senior housing, which may be on-site or off-site. The remaining balance of the affordable units required to achieve 10% of the total units count on-site and off-site shall be at 80% or lower AMI. Up to 42 affordable units shall be constructed on-site if all the 780 units are constructed and the 40 affordable units are constructed off-site. As it's stated in the project goals, Littleton residents, proprietize Littleton residents to the maximum extent. Conditions, affordable housing test due to a local preference, affordable units constructed off-site shall not be subtracted from the total unit count on-site. However, affordable units constructed on-site shall be counted towards the total maximum of the 780 units. Aggregate and general use, residential, retail, commercial, depicted on the revised master plan. The project requires,
Mark, can you hold?
Yeah,
Hold it a minute.
let's go
All right.
on number 7.
7, okay. What do we want to talk about on number 7?
I have a sort of a general question. We're talking about 780 units.
Correct.
And originally, when this proposal was brought before us, I thought it was 650 or 60 units.
Correct.
And I thought that the number of units increased because there was some discussion about a new town hall and the repurposing of this building. and that is no longer on the table as far as I know. So I'm wondering why we're not going back to the original
Well,
number of units.
it is still on the table. It also included the deeply discounted senior housing, and that is in here. On the advice of council, we have decided to take the other amenities that the Napoli company is proposing for the town of Littleton out of our decision and giving it to the select board for them to negotiate with the Napolis. It's been brought to our attention, to the planning board's attention, that it's not the appropriate place. We all still
Okay.
understand that higher density is in there for that reason, for the deeply discounted senior housing, and we're gonna let the select board handle that moving forward. So it really can't be in there for us from a legal standpoint with the Attorney General's office. It has to go to the select board. But it's still the understanding that is all in there, and that's correct me if I'm wrong, that's all still there. It's just a discussion that they will be having directly with the select board. We can't discuss that.
But the thing in here, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, the thing that is in here that wasn't before, like when we first had 656 units was the initial proposal, was that at the time we're talking about, okay, how can we provide these deeply affordable senior units, these 30 to 60% AMI that we're talking about? And really, we were talking about ideas at that meeting, and we were saying, well, an existing building is a much easier way to build units at that price point, where that becomes feasible. Now, we need a building available to do that. We cannot, as part of this process, the planning board and the applicant cannot really engage in that. That's a discussion for outside. But what is in the decision now is that the the deeply affordable units are written into the decision so that in the event that there's not a deal made, or these units need to be constructed on site
All right.
at the cost of the developer.
We
Okay.
can't.
I just,
And so that's the assurance that you're getting something for the extra density. You know, that
All right.
the deeply affordable units are now required by the decision to be constructed one way or another. If they're not constructed off-site, then they need to be constructed on-site at that 30 to 60% AMI point.
okay. I guess that makes some sense.
So my question, through all these various versions, I mean, I understand the concept, but the way we're describing the 40 off-site units, in addition to the 780, and I realize that may not be that, it may be on-site. I'm just having a brain block about how to think about 10% of 780 I get. If they're on site, 40 of those 10% are going to be the senior AMI. But if they're off site, we would get less of the affordable units. We would get the 38 on site.
Yeah, if all 780 units are constructed on-site, that's probably the neatest way to package it.
The neatest way, and that I
Yeah.
can understand,
Yeah.
it's when they're off-site
That it gets tricky, yeah.
that it
so-
gets tricky. And I just want to make sure, I want to hear from you what you're thinking. I've heard from Erin what she's thinking, and I'm having a hard time thinking that way.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, sure. So, so we'll start with the easy way, and then we'll work to
Okay.
other scenarios that might present themselves. The easiest way to describe it is if all the units are built on site, including the 40%, 30 to 60% AMI senior housing units. If all those units are built on site, it's very easy to follow. There's 10% of the total 780, which is 78 units. 40 of them are the deeply affordable senior units, and 38 would be at 80% AMI or less. So that's how the 78 units would be derived. In the event that another opportunity arises and units are constructed off-site, and let's just, for hypothetical sake, say that that's 40 units that are constructed off-site. Now we have a total of 820 units, which means we need to provide 4 more affordable units on-site.
okay, which isn't explicit in this.
It wasn't explicit in the version you were looking at this afternoon. This
Okay.
evening, we have.
Yeah, we had some clarifying discussion about
Okay,
that.
I mean, I had heard that you had agreed to that. but
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
I
yep,
just
so it's-
want to, because if we come back to this decision, I want to, make sure that it's okay. Okay.
And
that's
so,
fine.
yeah, so the number of units on site increases from 38 to 42 to
Yeah.
make sure that the total units on site and off were meeting the 10%.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, anyone else? Are you good? Can I continue?
Yeah, you're on number 7, right?
Well, we're
So-
actually on number 8.
Just finish it up,
Starting.
7.
Okay, so on number 7, I just wanted to confirm, I know that in the past meetings, we've heard that the deeply affordable would be around 30 to 40% AMI, but now we're seeing 30 to 60% AMI, and so that increase to 60, can you just explain the rationale for that?
Sure, yep. So what we wanted to do was provide flexibility. So as I'm sure you know, but I'll state for the public too. So when you're dealing with affordable housing, you're not only dealing with the rental price, but you're also dealing with income requirements to be available to have those units. And so a concern of ours was, well, let's say all 40 units were 30% AMI. That also means that any resident of that building has to meet that 30% AMI income bracket. If there's a resident with 40% or 50% AMI income bracket, they're not eligible for the 30% units. So the intention there is to provide a gradation between 30% AMI and 60% AMI to meet the needs of that full bracket instead of just one specific of the lowest income group.
Also, it is your intention to try to give the property, once you're done with it, if you do build it outside, to a
501c3, yeah.
which will only do it if it's a broad band of them. It can't be all of them.
Right, yep, and that gradation helps in terms of occupying the building, but also making sure that units aren't unrentable. What if there's not demand at the 30% AMI income bracket for the full 4 units? You don't want to have empty units that are meant to house people and solve a really short-term housing crisis for seniors, and they're not eligible to rent the units because maybe their income is 50% AMI instead of the 30% bracket.
So in the old days, there was also an asset limit on subsidies, which I know caused people not to qualify. Is that still the case, or someone told me that, that's changed? but-
I'm not an expert
Yeah, I'm not either.
in determining AMI income qualifications,
Mhm.
but I know, what I do know from the discussions that we've had with the nonprofits is that the range is better than narrowing it on a single one, because very likely there'll be people who could really use affordable housing, but they might not qualify if it's all at 30%.
And what about the local preference?
Yep, so our intention is to keep these as rental units, so they're not for sale units, which affords us greater latitude in terms of, to the maximum extent of the law, we'll be, doing this local preference.
For local preference, okay.
Yeah, the goal, a stated goal of the project is written right in the decision, I think, almost just this way. The goal of the project is to deal with affordable housing for Littleton residents as part of the project.
And I clarified with Maren that unlike a 40B, if it was rental, the entire number would be included in our subsidized housing. It's just the subsidized units. Okay.
Exactly right, yep. Yeah, exactly right, yeah. In a 40B project, 25% of the units has to be affordable, but you get to count the full 100% of the
full
units towards your
100%, yeah.
inventory. Yep, and in this instance, this is not a 40B project, so only the affordable units count towards your affordable index. Right. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on 7, or can I move on to 8?
Nope, okay.
8, so 8. Anyone else have any questions or concerns? All right, 8.
May I ask a question?
Because it's you, Matthew, sure.
Who is going to determine, let's say there's 30 to 60, who's going to determine where the units fall in that range and how many of each?
So it's our intention to construct the units and then turn them over to a 501c3 management company.
Okay, and they would.
And they would, yep. Yeah, I think they do an assessment of the population, and then they identify the price point for each of
Or
the units.
adjust if
Yep.
they give you the.
I'm sure the Affordable Housing Trust will probably be at least asked about it, right, Bartlett? Yes, yeah.
And writing,
Sure.
and in writing the condition the way that it is in the decision, it provides them that latitude to make adjustments between 30 to 60. It doesn't say like, 10 of the units have to be at 30, 10 of them have to be at 40. It gives them the latitude to make adjustments. Yep.
Okay. Number 8, aggregate and general use. Residential, retail, and commercial depicted on the revised master plan. The project requires 2,685 total parking spaces. The revised master plan proposal to meet the parking requirements by proposing a combination of surface street parking and parking structures as follows. 1,100 surface parking spaces. Parking structure P1 contains 280 units. Parking structure P2, 650. And parking structure P3, 700 parking spaces, totaling 2,730 parking spaces. It is anticipated that the applicant will propose shared parking during site plan reviews of the project, and the total number of parking spaces may be reduced if the applicant can demonstrate that the adequate parking will be provided. Notwithstanding the foregoing findings regarding the revised master plan, generally, the parking requirements for Littleton Bylaw remains fully applicable, and the owner/applicant and all of the specific uses may occupy spaces within the project shall be required to demonstrate compliance with applicable parking requirements before issuance of site plan approval, building permits, and/or certificates of occupancy may be applicable. Anybody have any questions with that, whatever that meant?
Can I give you the short version?
Go ahead.
We show that there's plenty of parking. If you just took all the uses by themselves and aggregated the parking requirements, more than likely, though, these uses share very well, particularly office and retail. But the problem is you gotta know which phases are in place when you go through it, so later on, when we're in front of you for site plan review, we'll probably be talking about shared parking and looking to reduce the overall number of parking spaces, if provided that we can prove to you that it works.
Right.
Why aren't you reading this? It sounds so much better when you read it.
Legalese versus English.
And I guess I have to think that you would have no interest in not providing enough parking for this.
Not enough parking only hurts the
Yeah.
project.
Okay.
But at the same time, you don't want to overbuild it
Sure.
at
No, I
the
mean,
sacrifice of,
there's
say,
a
green
trend
space.
toward,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Think about how many extra spaces we had when it was IBM. You
Yeah.
used to park tractor trailers out there. There was so much space out there.
Yeah.
I digress. Number 9, the town of Littleton is pleased to be working with 550 King Street LLC to make this project a transit-oriented development, a smart growth development that will add significant number of rental housing units to our housing stock, expanding housing choices for Littleton residents such as town, and the owner applicant are seeking to provide significant connections with the commuter rail system at the 495, Littleton 495 station. The owner applicant has committed to provide such connections at his own expense. Anybody have an issue with crosstown connector or whatever you're doing? You're gonna help fund that. You've actually got bus stations proposed on site
Yeah,
for that.
we're providing space on site for what we're calling like a transit center, basically on site, because the intention is that we'll use it for possibly LRTA bus connections, possibly cross-connect, possibly ride-sharing apps, all the above. And we want to sort of centralize that. We think that that makes sense to create that hub, and that hub exists at the north end of the green space, so there's sort of a natural synergy there of activity, a good place to hang out while you're waiting for a bus.
Cool. Last but not least, number 10, the requirement of sections 173-224H sidewalk curb cuts have been met as follows. No more than one curb cut per 300 feet of lot frontage proposed. The location of the curb cuts will be minimized potential dangerous conflicts between motor vehicles and pedestrians. The project provides internal cross-connection between the development parcels, establishing shared driveway accesses for this proposed use. The interior width of each curb cut is minimized while providing adequate openings for emergency vehicles and trucks where necessary. All curb cuts are proposed to be constructed with suitable material to convey the presence of walkways and to meet the required grade, cross slope, and clear width requirements. There.
That really detailed criteria comes from form-based code.
Okay. So we've kind of gone through all the conditions. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about it? Anything they want to?
A few of the new conditions, I like the, the table. The timeline for the traffic study, the sustainability, the applicable energy conservation code, at least this decision has some intentionality toward sustainable issues. Then the last one, which I appreciated, was that the special permit goes with the developer, not the land. And I think that's prudent, because we could be dealing with a developer we're not, that just would intend to flip it as soon as it's permitted. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're going along with
So I have a question on number 10. Condition number 10, it says, "The owner applicant shall implement at its own expense any and all outside mitigation." No, wait a minute, that's not it.
The numbers might have
Sorry,
changed,
hold
the
on.
different drafts.
Yeah.
it. No, I think you're looking at 9.
Okay, number 7. There we go. Yeah. So, number 7, reads, "For the purpose of the master plan, the following table of units is provided for the project. The exact configuration and allocation of units will be proposed during the site plan review of each of the phases of the project. Flexibility of up to 10% per bedroom category is permissible to meet the market demand. Changes in the overall bedroom count exceeding 10% shall require an amendment to the special permit." So I was just hoping you could give me an example of that, what that flexibility means.
Sure.
Like when, yeah.
Yeah, so we can't reduce the affordable units by up to 10%, to be clear. But what it does mean is, so right now, we're making a best guess at one-bedroom units being 60% of the total unit count, two-bedroom units being 30% of the total unit count, and three bedrooms being 10% of the total unit count. What it means is that within there, we might end up with 63% of one-bedrooms instead of 60% as we work our way through the phases. And that as long as we fall within that 10% plus or minus range for each of those allocations, then it's not subject to amending this master plan special permit. It's something that can be discussed at the site plan review stage. Does that make sense? So there's room for some flexibility. What's written in here means that basically if we're 61% one bedrooms instead of 60%, we don't have to amend the special permit condition, that we can handle it through a discussion with the planning board at the site plan review.
Would this also be applied to phasing in the sense that, before the completion of the project, you might have one-bedrooms at 70%?
Yeah, at some
but
point,
at
things
the
might
end
be
of
a
the
little bit-
project, it's back to 60% or
Right.
whatever, okay.
Yep.
You good?
I have another follow-up question on that. So, similar to the question that Matthew asked earlier about how are we going to see the range of units, we have a very large range for one-bedroom units, 380, comparable to 80 to 120% AMI. So, just really looking to make sure that there's 2 of them at 80% and the rest of them at 120.
So, good question. And actually, this is a great time to try to clarify that. So the categories for, let's just stick with the one-bedroom table for a second. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 categories of one-bedroom unit. There's the deeply affordable senior housing. That's the 30 to 60% AMI units. There's another 23 units that are listed as being below 80% AMI. But our intention with the 80 to 120 is not that they're actually 80 to 120 income restricted. It's that our intention is to market, those are market rate units that we plan to market towards a comparable rent to the 80 to 120 range. In other words, we're trying to find a way to say that the purpose of that housing group, that housing stock, is to target residents of average income in Littleton. And we're calling average roughly 80 to 120% of AMI. So those won't be deed-restricted units, they're not income-restricted units, but that our price point will be comparable to the price point of an 80 to 120% AMI. And the prices will vary depending on, you've probably seen it in apartment buildings, but some have a den and they cost more, some have a higher floor and they cost more. But so there'll be a range of pricing, but that our intention is to market that market rate unit towards that approximate price bracket. But those are market rate units.
Thank you.
Okay. And I already called you, Matthew. Mark.
I have a question on how this 10% works, because if you were to actually increase the 10% of one-bedroom units by 10%, say 470, that's 47 units, you would actually have to lower the other numbers by more than 10% to make it work. So you can't actually, how exactly does that work?
So the 10% range is just that's a common permitting threshold. So like, an example, like state permitting, like NEPA, for example, uses 10%. And the intention is just to provide that latitude. But to your point, you're right. If you finish the job with all the units constructed, you may have, as an example, to add, let's say you wanted to add 10 three-bedroom units, that would have a much more significant impact on the percentage of three-bedroom units than it would the one-bedroom units if you're flipping the two. Our intention, though, is as we go through the project to stay pretty close to this mix, and we're saying that as we work our way through the project, we'll be within that 10% range of each of them. But anything outside of a 10% in any one of those three categories, when the job is complete, would require us to amend the special permit, which would be at the planning board's discretion.
But
And
that
maybe there's good
actually-
reason. Like,
So that actually means you can't change the one-bedroom units by 10%.
correct. Yep. But by the end of the project. Yep. But we may find ourselves, there's a lot of explaining. We may find ourselves where, as we work our way, like, let's say like phase 2 of the housing, where maybe we are at 65%, but we haven't, but because our other categories aren't built out yet, we don't have the need to amend a special permit, if that makes sense.
Yes,
But
Marty?
to follow up on that, if you change the three-bedroom by 10% and you increase it, you would actually double the number of three-bedroom units.
Correct.
Which seems like a big change to me, but I will obviously let the planning board deal with that.
Yep, and that
Just
would,
to clarify.
and that would be a big change, and it would also require us to come back and amend that.
Well, but you could do it by 9% and it wouldn't have to come back, right?
Presumably, but I'm not sure, yeah. I'm not sure if that would be a significant, like in terms of the global aspect of the project. If you look at the project in its totality, the difference between having, actually there's 78 three-bedroom units in the mix. So adding another 78 units would be a big change.
Right,
Yeah.
but according to this, you wouldn't need to come back and change the permit for that.
No, I think the 10% is referring to the 10% of each category,
Each
not to the
category.
10% of
Yeah.
the 780.
So, okay, so it's 10% of 78, not 10% of 700.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct, yeah.
That's what I was asking.
So 8, 7, or 8 units.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question. So, Rick, originally you had talked about this being primarily rental units. Is that still the case? Are you looking at doing some, purchase or all rental, or what are your thoughts now?
So right now, our intention is to do it 100% as rental.
Okay.
Yep. And if that changed down the road, then that would have to be something we would talk to with you guys.
Okay. Anything else? Any other conditions? Any issues with any of the other conditions? We're all good.
No, I think that, that you all have listened very much to what we've been saying, so that's really helpful. And it's nice to be able to see added items in here, like all of the green measures that Napoli plans to take. So I think that will also go a long way toward other folks that have similar kind of questions and concerns.
One more comment about something that changed over the last couple of weeks. I think the initial versions of this special permit and the initial versions of the master plan envisioned tearing down the old building. And now it's, 180, where the special permit decision is more or less saying you're keeping the old building. Could you go over that wording and what your thinking is on that? I
Sure.
mean, and that's great.
Yeah, we heard, through the process, obviously, Anna, you mentioned like sustainable measures.
Yeah.
It's much less sustainable to tear down a building and build a new one than it is to try to rehabilitate an existing building. And so we heard that through the process. And so what we wanted to do was we put together this master plan, which is what I would describe again as like our maximum build scenario, where we're keeping both the buildings and providing the residential density that makes the project work. In the event, though, that for some reason we're unable to lease out those buildings, we have it in the conditions here that basically we can't build any more than 780 units on site. So probably what happens is the phases just get a little more elbow room. The space that is presently occupied by buildings N and O, we basically say will be dedicated to either additional open space on the plan, or it may include vertical construction, i.e., we might take building L, for example, on the map that we're looking at now, and slide it to the right and create more open space, give the development a little more room to breathe. So the intention would not be to create a more dense development than what's already there. It would actually give it just a little more breathing room. And our intention is not to seek more density than what's on the plan with keeping the existing buildings. Very likely there would be a lot less density because the buildings that would go back in their place would be less square footage than the buildings as they exist.
So, we're talking about condition 2, and, my only, I think that's great. My only concern would be that you add to the existing buildings or rebuild them at 6 stories or something. And I know that we have special, we have review of all this stuff, but I want to make sure that that's not allowed under this decision.
That's right, yep. That's not what's allowed under this decision, and so a major change like that would require us to come back and amend the master plan special permit. That couldn't just be handled with a site plan review. As long as we stick to the parameters of what's in here, even if a building was raised, as long as we're not intensifying the uses by more than what's on the master plan, we can deal with that, and we can look at that development pad as a site plan, and we can talk about the building configurations, the landscaping, the parking that take the building's place. But if we were to overbuild and intensify, then that would be a different discussion. That would be a site plan amendment, or that would be, a special permit amendment that we would have to get your blessing to be able to do. But again, these are hypothetical. Our hope and our intention is to find a way to, come up with an adaptive reuse of the buildings.
Excellent.
Okay, anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Is there any other?
Anybody else back there want to? No, I think we're good. I'd like to close the hearing. It's been
A long one.
a long one. Anyone want to make a motion that we close the public hearing?
I so move.
I'll
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Now I'll make a motion that we approve the conditions for the site plans, the special permit master plan, but before I do that, I just want to acknowledge one thing. I want to acknowledge Mr. Freiberg's work on this, and Maren Two Hill's work on this, and the Napoli Company. This has been yeoman's work between getting this where it is to us that we can all vote on it, and the fact that we did the MassWorks grant the week in the middle of all of this. Mr. Freiberg, you've been amazing with Maren, and I think they both deserve kudos for that, because this has not been easy. And to listen to everything we've had to say and put all our conditions in there and everything else like that, it's been fantastic. It's been a great working process, and now let's finish the job. I'll entertain a motion to approve the master plan development, special permit, major commercial use, special permit, major industrial use, special permit, Aquifer and Water Resource District. It's in there, we're not approving it, but it's in everything with the condition.
And the curb cut.
Curb cut,
Sidewalk
I
curb
remember
cuts.
the curb cut, all of
The
it.
strangely specific curve.
Yes,
I had to look for it.
with all the conditions that we've spoken about,
And if you wouldn't mind, with final wording according to town
yeah,
council.
final word is agreed upon by town council.
Well, as long as we, that's fine, but we should probably at least know about it if there's any significant changes.
Well, we didn't,
No significant changes. The one sentence that you read that was a run-on sentence?
Yeah,
I'll
maybe.
fix that one.
okay, that's it, no, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, but no
Oh,
significant.
that's, and I should also add Chris has been instrumental in getting this to where we can read it and approve it. So having said all that, I'll entertain a motion by somebody to approve the, whatever it was I just read 2 minutes ago.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. I think we're looking at something that could be really great for the town of Littleton. I thank the Napoli Company. I thank you again, Rick and Maren, for doing it. It's been a great job. It's taken a while. We look forward to seeing you as the phases come along, and
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a true public-private partnership. I think I see Sal raise his hand.
I just want to say one thing, respectfully, humbly, we're in 1/7 of the state of Massachusetts with a project, whether it's an operating business or whether it's a development business. And so as you can see, I come to the boards. I listen to what the boards say, whether it's select, zoning, planning, whatever it is. I want to tell you what a pleasure it is, and I plan on letting other developers understand that Littleton is a town that wants to do business as long as you listen to them. There's a true partnership here. And I just want to thank you from the Selectmen Board, the town manager. This whole process has been really tremendous, and I really appreciate it. Our family took a gamble on a piece of property that was not even zoned to do what that project looked like. And the reason we took that gamble is because of the selectmen, because of the town manager, because of the members of the planning board that gave us the confidence that this was a project that Littleton could put their arms around. And as long as we listen to Littleton, that it could potentially be well received. I give you my word, I will overpromise and I will overdeliver on this project. You will be so proud of this project, and I'll be with this project every step of the way.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
And I also have to thank you for listening to the seniors outside, one of the first meetings we had, when the old ladies cornered you and talked to you about deeply discounted senior, I didn't mean old ladies like that, but deeply discounted senior housing, and we have 40 units that are gonna be deeply discounted senior housing, because you listened to them. And
You
I,
know, by the path that we took, by listening to town council, by listening to your town manager, by listening to your selectmen, the path we took, I would love it to be filled up by Littleton residents primarily, and then whatever is left, we bring the outside public in, but I think Littleton deserves first crack at this, and that's why this path that we're on, and the way we're doing this, calls for, a strict guidelines from your town council, but I give you my assurance, we're super excited about the elderly, we're super excited about the component, we're super excited about the deep discounts. We're gonna make a lot of changes together, and you're gonna be proud of it. You're gonna be proud of it.
we're super excited that after 15, 20 years of promising the seniors something, we're hopefully finally gonna get something
Yeah, we're
that
gonna get.
they're gonna be able to stay in Littleton.
See you soon.
And we'll get to enjoy it.
And we're gonna stay.
Seniors now.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, may I say something real quick?
Sure.
For our select
Board
board
leave.
people.
Hey, can you guys stay for 1 second? Matthew? It's not often you grace us with your presence.
So, before our select board members leave, I wanted to, I wanted to lobby our select board members who are here to say that, as you heard, the great work that was done by this team, led by our planning
I know where she's
department
going.
Good for her.
planner.
Good.
We need an assistant town planner. And so to the degree that we can make that happen in the next budget, I would greatly appreciate it, because knowing full well how hard Maren works, it's very much needed in the town if we're going to make that happen, and we don't want to drive her into the ground. So please, do what you need to do, please, to make money available for funding that assistant town planner.
get Marla back now? We hear you, Anna.
No,
We know
no.
We do.
Anna brings up a very good point.
Excellent.
Marin's done yeoman, and we don't want to lose her, and we don't want to burn her out.
And we have Littleton Station coming up, too.
Yeah, and I've worked with Maren on that, on TDR,
Yeah.
on the AHT. She's unbelievably great. So.
If we have to have a car wash or a bake sale or something, we're all in. We just don't want to burn Marin out. She's been always doing a great job. She handles everything. She needs some help.
So thank you.
And thank you, Anna.
Impossible without her.
Thank you, Anna. That was a good, you had us all here. That was a good one. All right, you can go now.
Good night.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you, Rick.
Bye. Thank you.
We should have conditioned that you be on the job forever.
I'll be back.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're 7 minutes early.
7 minutes early still.
I think
What do you mean?
7 minutes early.
See, I told you.
I know. See, that's why the recesses helped.
The recess did. It gave us a
Renewed
chance,
us,
yeah.
and we got,
But I'd still rather not have recesses.
No, I'd rather keep going. I'd rather be late than
if it was a
early.
cold and rainy day.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you guys.
Happy
We all
campers
did a
here.
great job. We're at that,
Wow.
we've done a lot in a year
That's a
and a
big,
half.
this is a big,
This is a big deal. They're either gonna love us in the town or they're gonna run us out of it.
but I think about the point, I was on the, you know, I was
Yeah.
on the,
Fence about whether it was
I
going
mean, I didn't not want it, I didn't want it, but it's a good thing.
It turned out to be a great thing. This, I think, is going to be, and I think we have a developer that's as good, as conscientious as Mr. Park was. I hope. No, I think so.
Yeah, I do
I think
too.
he's the real deal.
Yeah.
No, I do. I really do. You know, we're putting a lot of eggs in one basket, but I think
Oh, because you know where we're at.
No, I
he's the
want to
real
buy
deal.
one.
Yeah, well, you don't know what they are yet.
That's true, Bob.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's true.
Anyways.
So, just so that the public knows, the draft decision, what's going to actually be in that, is that going to get posted at any point? Will the draft decision or the final decision get posted?
Yeah, I'll post the final decision. Yeah,
We don't have to sign it, Paula's going to sign for all of us, right?
right,
And then you're going to post it with town clerk.
right.
Yeah.
When did Rick say they
My
would break
signature
ground?
has two ends.
What?
When did Rick say they would start breaking ground this fall?
He'd like to probably come in for the first phase in September. He was
Yeah.
saying it, told me at the break.
Yeah.
And that may be the existing building.
The existing building. They do have somebody very interested in it.
But they sort of have to build a parking garage for that.
I don't think so. I think they could probably use part of the parking lots until they.
But then they can't.
They're gonna have to keep the sewage treatment plant going too, so.
I think it's.
They have somebody very interested in
By
high-tech,
biotech.
something like
Yeah,
robotics or biotech that really wants the building as it is,
Yeah, that's great.
because it's available.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
Well, and I'd read, I think it was in Sunday's Boston Globe, that all these biotech companies are now looking.
This way, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's good.
Anyways, cool. Yeah, no, I think we're in good shape. We're doing some good stuff here.
I know.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
we'll still be
Wilkins will-
alive in 10 years. You know?
We'll see. We just need a coffee shop.
No, a bakery and a cheese shop. How's that?
Yeah, we could ride
I
it.
should go in the northern bank part, so I can just walk.
Okay, let's do a cheese shop.
When does that IBM thing, when do they start the construction, and what's, do you know the timeline?
So we were just talking about, so they're gonna probably come before us in September with their first phase of it. That has to be, they have to do a traffic study, have to get that done, the water resource aquifer stuff, they have to do all the drainage things, which they'll be working on, I'm sure, for the rest of the summer, and then they're gonna do it in phases, so phase one will be, it depends on where phase one, what we were just saying is if they decide to keep one or both of the IBM buildings, if they have a tenant, that'll probably be the first thing that comes before us. So they're gonna probably just start there. If they decide to knock the buildings down, which I don't think they're going to, I think they've realized the value of the buildings, plus there are so many people out there that want a building right now, not 3 or 4 years from now, that they're gonna try to reposition those buildings. They'll probably start there. They're gonna have to keep the sewage treatment plant going because we won't have town sewer there for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years until that's gonna be up and running. So that's probably where they're gonna start. And with that, there'll be probably some sort of phase of, some sort of residential to go with it. So that's how they're proposing the phasing, residential, commercial, kind of at the same time, but maybe 5 or 6 phases over the next 5 to 10 years.
Nice.
So it's gonna take a little while, but it's exciting what the potential could be going on out there. Okay, we still got another minute until I know we told people to leave, so we have to make sure they have time to come back.
We haven't heard anything from Northern Bank, right?
No, we were talking about that earlier. We haven't heard a peep out of Northern Bank when they want to come on the agenda or not, or when. So maybe you scared them away. Jeff?
They're still
They're still-
interested.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure
They
they're
dug
just.
test pits across the street. They,
Right, yeah,
Which
which would have been the testing for the detention area, so
which
they can
is
finish, do the
gonna
stormwater
impact the
design.
design because those soils are wet. I mean, that was a wetland originally.
Oh, was it?
That whole area where Donald's was a wetland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
I have an idea why everybody's here, but let's just wait another minute. Anything else? Any other thoughts? What a relief to have that off
Nothing new on the
our
mill?
plate now, you know?
Nothing new on the mill? No? Good.
Hmm?
Yeah, no.
They've got a lot of work to do
Yeah.
to figure that out.
Well, there's been talk, I don't know, we've had people talking about maybe trying to put a car dealership in there.
What?
Yeah, you know.
Other than the use isn't allowed.
Yeah, other than that, yeah.
And that we already have one in town.
Well, we could have more, we used to have 3.
Does the form-based code allow
It
for?
would be a really pretty car dealership. It would look like a farm.
And you go by the car dealers and they don't even have cars
Yeah.
there anymore.
Yeah.
I know, that's the only thing I've heard of floating around out there, that's it. But who knows? Okay, we have an 8 o'clock continued public hearing, adult use marijuana special permit, marijuana cultivation. Do you, Mr. Gianetta?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me again.
I think we have a few more people in the audience, so maybe you should give us a brief overview and kind of go over some of the high points that we saw at our last meeting.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, mainly we're proposing cultivation and manufacturing. It's a smaller scale project. We currently occupy 4,520 square feet for our retail operation, and we're proposing the balance of the space, including some office space, to be cultivation and manufacturing. So smaller scale to help supplement our existing menu for the retail, and we comply with all parking bylaws. We are located in the Industrial A zone, which complies with the overlay, the marijuana overlay map. And mainly it's like I'm saying, it's a smaller operation, pretty well controlled. We've submitted an odor mitigation plan, all nuisance mitigation plans, and, you know, I'm just happy to answer any questions.
Can we, at our last meeting, like I said, when we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, there was nobody here, it was just us. You talked about the difference between your operation and the other operation that has had an
Yeah.
issue. I'm assuming
Yeah.
most of the people that are here tonight
Yeah,
are concerned about the smell.
I'd prefer to just give a summary of that because,
Please.
you know, I proposed everything to the board a few weeks ago. We didn't have anybody in attendance, so I understand that most people are here, I would assume, for a concern, a preconceived concern of what the odor could be. So I'd like to just speak to that. So there's been a comparison to an existing cultivation facility here in town, Sanctuary Medicinals. They're located on 234 Taylor in town. So that operation is, well, our operation would be about 1/5 of the size. So it's a much smaller operation. They're a triple stacked, so they have 3 tiers of growing capacity, where we're proposing a single tier. The orientation of our flower rooms, actually, as you can see it on that floor plan there, is the 3 rectangular shaped flower rooms. Those are central in the building and heading towards the rear of the building. So, you know, we carefully positioned those spaces to be as close to a buffer zone as possible, which is in the rear, heavily wooded area that then backs up to the shooting range. We're also, you know, I understand that there were some concerns from Beaverbrook Road in particular. Our orientation, or I'm sorry, our position, we're down gradient by about 60 feet, and we're about 700 feet from the residential side of Beaverbrook Road, and also approximately 700 feet to Great Road. As we compare to Taylor Street, they are located 100 feet from the road, and also they share a lot line with residential neighbors.
Can you go over the difference in how you're going to get rid of the
Sure.
air, remove the air from it?
So the way that we intend on handling that is within our flower rooms, within our dry and cure rooms and trim rooms. The areas that would, the rooms that would create as much of any odor. We intend on doing a couple of things differently than the way that Sanctuary handles it. So we have, we're proposing to use those like typical mini split Mitsubishi style heat and air conditioning systems that are isolated to those rooms. They do not exhaust. And as a matter of fact, what we plan on doing is bringing in a fresh air approach, whereas most growers, including Sanctuary, they do not do that. There's a concern there with a lot of growers that they'll bring in contaminants, and that's just going to be our method. So what I'm saying is, by bringing in fresh air, it helps to knock down the parts per million of any odor within that room, and we don't intend on exhausting from those rooms. The existing HVAC system that we have would really be used for common areas to the cultivation facility, so hallways, other offices, things of that nature. Whereas with a company like Sanctuary, they use their HVAC system to constantly bring in intake air and exhaust all interior air. So the smell that we smell when we go down Taylor Road is indicative of, you know, having exhausting, just constantly exhausting what's from the inside. We're creating real enclosed, insulated rooms, like clean rooms essentially, that we do not intend on exhausting from those rooms. And, you know, in addition to these points, you know, I just want to, I guess, make the general statement that, you know, odor is subjective, right? It's pretty subjective. And what I mean by that is, you know, one person's disapproval of an odor may not be someone else's disapproval. You know, for example, you know, we have farms all over Littleton, and driving by those farms, you know, we smell manure, you know, and some people.
Days.
Once a year.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I live in town here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
I do
understand,
too.
so.
It's maybe
Sir.
2 days a year.
Sir, will you let him finish, then you can,
That's,
okay.
Yeah, so, you know, I think my point here is that, you know, really there is not an expectation of any odor. And we have a mitigation plan in place that, you know, we've proposed to the board, and, you know, we stand behind. I can say on the retail level, when, you know, we were during the permitting process, there were plenty of people against it. And I really think it just comes from not knowing and fear of the worst case scenario, traffic and, you know, loitering and, you know, serving the minors and all these types of things. And we've been in business now for 3.5 months, have not had any of these concerns. And again, I'll repeat, I live in town. So, you know, I have kids in this town. I have been in this town for 20 years. So, you know, I understand any of these types of concerns and would be the first one to step in and make sure that we're doing the right thing. So that's.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for us before I open up to the public?
Well, I have a question, sorry, I have a question that Maren may have the response to, and that is that one of the things that I had requested at our last meeting was that we have a condition that the applicant agreed to around making sure that we have within the town system an enforcement process, that if there is odor, what can be done to mitigate that. So, Maren, I think you had some language to that, is that right?
Well, I reached out to Jim Gareffi, our Board of Health agent, and about what the process is for current odor complaints. He sent back an email today. Boards of Health have the ability to address odors under the state's air pollution control regulations, 310 CMR 7, and then he provides the relevant sections below. And it basically, state law says that nobody has the right to produce odors that are offensive, and complaints can go through an enforcement process. So then Jim goes on to explain the general approach to handling air pollution complaints, which would encompass odor complaints, as provided by the DEP, is outlined below. Number one, investigate the complaint. Things about when is it happening, with what frequency, the intensity of the issue, whether it's a fleeing issue or affected by the weather or production related. Number two, the potential complaint is determined from the property line of the individual filing the complaint. Number three, if the potential issue is identified, the Board of Health works with the entity to address the matter. And number four, if the entity won't or can't address the matter, then the Board of Health can step in and issue an order to correct. So that's the current process for a violation of air quality standards.
And Mr. Giannetta has agreed to have that as one of the conditions of approval, no
Okay.
problem.
So is all that language going to go into the condition?
Absolutely, if that's what the board wishes.
Yep.
Has that been invoked at Taylor Street?
The process to date at Taylor Street has included the operator working with Board of Health agent.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Well, I just wanted to also clarify, so Mr. Gareffi is currently our person for Board of Health. We're going to be getting new staff for Board of Health at some point, is that correct?
It's independent of who is enforcing for the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate working with Jim because of his vast experience, but whether
So
it's...
he is the enforcement officer for this?
For
Okay,
this, correct.
got it, thank you.
And it actually, enforcement can be done by any police department, fire department, or Board of Health official acting within their jurisdiction.
Thank
All
you.
right, do you have any questions or concerns?
Yeah, Mr. Giannetta, I was wondering if you could go into a little bit more detail about the mitigation. You talked about Mitsubishi. Those recirculate air in a given space. They heat it or cool it. And you also said something about introducing fresh air, but you said that you're not exhausting anything. So could you explain that discrepancy?
Sure. So the intention and the plan is to bring in fresh air, which helps to
Right.
dissipate the odor,
Right.
right, internally, indoors. And in addition to that, why I bring up the heat and air conditioning source and how we intend on doing that is because in comparison to the other existing cultivation facility, they're using just a regular rooftop unit HVAC system to heat and air condition their space. And so all that's doing is when it's pulling out interior air and exhausting, it's taking the odor with it. Inline carbon filters can be installed in that case. I don't know if they've done it or not. In our case, we're the only areas where we will provide heat and air conditioning by utilizing one of the existing rooftop units that we have. We'll be installing carbon inline filters for that. All of that is also in our plan that we submitted to the town. So from a heat and air conditioning standpoint, within the rooms that create an odor, those are going to be self-contained. So self-contained because they're not going to be exhausting.
But the CO2 still has to go somewhere. Where does it go?
Yeah, it'll likely, they're gonna be in tight rooms it's basically a room built within a room. So, we propose 3 separate flower rooms. Within the existing space and under the existing roof, we would then build 4 walls and a ceiling to
Right.
that. So it totally contains it. Now, of course, when you swing open a door, let's say, on the inside, out to a hallway, still inside the building, some of that air will come out, but that door is then shut behind. The HVAC system that's dedicated to the hallways are going to have inline carbon filters that we'll regularly maintain and make sure that any exhaust points have those inline carbon filters that we maintain.
So eventually, I went to Littleton High School, so I'm gonna go slow. If you bring so much air in, eventually it's like a balloon. It's just gonna So you have to eventually get rid of some of the air that's in there. That's all gonna go through a filtration system with carbon filters and everything else.
That's correct.
And then be exhausted out.
Correct, and, you know, part of the building permit process is having to consult with engineers in the plumbing category, in the electrical category, the mechanical category. In the mechanical category is where we will propose this. We're gonna have engineers looking at this, certifying this, then we submit to the building department for approval. So it's not, you know, we don't just get to do what we want. We also have to comply with the Cannabis Control Commission standards as far as emissions go and odor goes. So, you know, we're under plenty of scrutiny when it comes to this. And there's an architectural review that's done with the Cannabis Control Commission at the state level prior to any major construction being done. So, you know, there's a lot of checkpoints along the way, and, you know, I also don't intend nor want there to be a nuisance here. It's not, you know, the plan here. So, you know, I'll be doing everything that I can to make sure that it is not an issue.
How long will it take you to go through the Cannabis Commission once?
So we actually received a request for information, real basic, which I turned around and got them what they were looking for since submitting. I would expect about 4 weeks from now, we would see our provisional license, which would then allow us to apply for the architectural review. So that's when we submit our plans, submit our engineering plans, the MEPs, and then get that approval to build from there. So I'd say, you know, 6 to 8 weeks from now, we could be constructing, provided that we have a building permit as well.
You mean you could start construction?
Start construction,
It's gonna-
correct.
How long will it take you to build this out?
Build out, we would plan on about 6 to 7 months. And then first harvest would be, you know, about 3 months thereafter.
Okay. Jeff, do you have any questions?
Just as a general question, what is your industry doing about this odor? I mean, are there best practices? Are there mechanical systems that are being developed, or what's, you know?
Carbon filters on all exhaust points is really the main thing. Bringing in fresh air, that adds to our benefit of knocking down that odor. Vaporization on the interior also helps. These are all methods that we plan on taking within the space before allowing any of the air to exhaust. And again, I can't stress this enough that it, you know, comparably, it is a much smaller scale. This is more of like a craft type of approach. This is somewhat comparable to what homeowners are able to do in their own basements, you know, legally, or outside in their backyards. You know, it's just at a more controlled level. Yes, it is considered commercial because it's licensed, but yeah, it's a much smaller scale.
No?
Good. I'm going to open up to the public, but raise your hand, I'll call your name, and you have to, I'll call on you, but you have to give your name to Myron so she can put it on the record. So anybody have any questions or concerns? Yes, sir, in front.
Steve Reedy, 4 Beaverbrook Road. Do I have to sign something?
No.
So just a couple of things. One, you don't maybe intend the odor, it's just part of the byproduct of the thing. And I think the law says people can have like 5 plants in their backyard. So to compare it to backyard operations, a little bit disingenuous, I think. Odor travels uphill, it's not water, it doesn't just travel downhill. So that idea that this is somehow we're uphill, we're not going to smell it as much. I mean, I can see your building from my driveway. I'm sorry that you had to repeat yourself. Had we known about the last meeting, because we didn't catch the notice in the paper that most of us don't read anymore, we didn't know. So apologize that you had to go through that again. I would just say, look, everybody knows there's an odor, right? There are people here from Taylor Street that can tell you that there's an odor. We have heard from a lot of people now since this came up. You get online, you find out there's a whole industry of there's a whole industry of people selling mitigation equipment, fog machines. I mean, and I don't know about HVAC, but it doesn't make sense to me that air can come in, but it never goes out. So if the mitigation is just carbon filters and you're not using the fog machines, all these other things people are selling, it seems like maybe there's more that can happen. But it stinks. You told us that it's a matter of people's personal, some people don't mind the smell, some people do. Like, I want to be able to sell my house when the kids graduate and retire, and hopefully move to IBM to one of those 55-plus units. I'm not, we've heard from realtors who've told us that on Taylor Street, people have got out of their car, they've smelled the smell, they get back in their car. New England, and then I've been assured that it's only with the low ceiling, clouds or rain or fog. Dude, that's like third of the year, half of the year it's like that. So for me, when I get out of my house, I love to garden, I like to be outside. I don't want to keep my windows shut all the time because the smell is coming out of your factory that is bigger than a backyard factory. So that's, everybody knows the facts. I'm not going to keep going on. That's kind of my take on this thing.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
English Patel, 1D Chancery Road. My question is, you talked about the mitigation plan, and to some extent, to add to his and Jeff's question, do we have any numbers on what is your confidence level on how it would mitigate, and the best practices, like have any numbers on those best practices, and like what he talked about using fog equipments and things like that. Have you done those research, and is that in the submission to understand like how it would mitigate? And then I don't know if I have another question maybe for the board, is there a limit on how many cultivation facilities we can have in the town? I mean, we already have one which is huge, right? Do we need another one? Do we that's that's a question, like how many cultivation things we can have? Like there are so many farms. Tomorrow someone sells a farm, are we going to have another cultivation?
We don't have a set number on cultivation, right?
Correct, but it has to be an industrial zone property, so
Yeah.
the farms do not qualify for.
It has to be
cultivation site.
hydroponic inside a building. So yeah, you can have as many as people want to propose. The state has earmarked marijuana as desirable, and we have two retail establishments proposed and permitted, and there's many we have another cultivation company that wants to come in a couple of weeks and propose one as well, so we have to listen. Could you answer this question about the best possible technology? Have you looked into that, and can we get some information on that possibly to?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly through any exhaust points, keeping it a tight building, and any exhaust points are going to be, we're going to have inline carbon filters installed. On the interior, we'll have practices such as vaporization, which will help to knock down any odor and break up those parts per million. Also bringing in fresh air will help that as well. And, from the standpoint of what percentage of odor can, be released into the air, we really can't propose that without, having, it's not detectable, like by any type of, like sound is detectable compared to odor, it isn't. So for me to say that there would be a certain percentage that would escape and what percentage would remain, I can't really, scientifically give that answer.
If I consider that as a pollution, right, I mean air pollution to some extent, how would you consider, what would be the number, right, like that, like what category does it fall in? Like is it at a low category, medium, to a scale that you are expecting?
So because of the scale, because of the volume not being a huge volume, especially in comparison to, a lot of this is based on information received or even witnessing, driving by the existing cultivation facility and smelling it. That is a magnitude that we can't possibly reach, nor do we want to. The intention is not to reach that magnitude. I mean, they're pushing, they're growing in the area of 20,000 pounds per year of flower. So that's a huge scale. Our intention is about a fifth of that, if not even less. The intention of the whole project is to help supplement our existing retail stores, which we have 2, and to wholesale to some of the retailers who we have relationships with. So it's really not to create this major scale, which, would even be able to compare to what I think everybody is referring to. So it's I don't expect there to be odor, much more than if you're physically standing at our building. A door opens, sure, but that's no different than someone cooking in their home. The door opens, sure, you smell that right there. But I don't expect it to be much more than that.
You have to raise your hand so I can, say it. Name for Maren, please.
Barry Sullivan, 2 Beaverbrook Road. I have to refer to back to the past meeting. Can I do that?
Sure.
Okay. You referred to all the air being sent out to the gun club and to the woods. So once it goes out the building, it's going out to the gun club in the woods. And it's not going to be redirected by the winds of that day, correct?
I can't control.
Yeah,
that.
I know you can't, so that's what I'm saying. You can't control the wind, it's gonna head to our houses, correct?
But if there isn't a major odor to begin with,
So,
then whether the wind blows your way or not, taking very little to no odor that's controlled on the interior of the building would prevent any type of witness of any odor.
so, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Justine Stedman, 17 Old Great Road. Is there any OSHA, when the board did their due diligence on this, is there any OSHA standard for parts per million inside this manufacturing or growing operation?
I don't know of any, I don't think OSHA would have covered it. I would think that,
This board doesn't have any jurisdiction over OSHA regulations.
not OSHA, but cannabis must have some sort of regulations. The Cannabis Control Commission must have some sort of regulation as to what you can work in and smell like that, and I'm sure they're gonna make sure that he has to comply to that. Yes, again.
So if there is an odor problem, who do we
You call the Board of
bring
Health.
this up to?
Board of Health.
Board of Health?
The Board of Health or the zoning enforcement agent in the town of Littleton, which is the building department.
I think it will be important to have that process really well outlined and documented.
I think since there's so much concern about how you're gonna get rid of the air out of there, do you have the ability to bring us in a consultant that works on these and has proposed the system that you're gonna have in there? Could we have them come in and actually address some of the questions and maybe give us some diagrams of what how you're gonna do it? I think to at least give the residents some sort of confidence that what you're proposing has a chance of working and how it's gonna work. Can we continue
Yes.
to that?
Yeah, we can do that.
The other thing is, I thought maybe the board should go to the other place or drive by the other place and see what smell people are talking about. I have not seen it. I don't know if anyone else.
So you won't see it, you will smell
Well,
it.
smell it, that's the point. And I understand your
Yes, yeah.
technology is different, and that's why it'd be easier, so once we have a better idea, and the residents that are affected by it have a better idea of what's gonna go on there and how you're going to make sure that they don't, out in their backyard planting tomatoes getting stoned.
Yeah, if I could just try to have you envision though, what the comparison I'm trying to make. So Taylor Road is a 20,000 square foot building.
Right.
We are a 20,000 square foot building. They are 3 levels within their building. That's how they grow.
Right.
That's their method, where we're a single level. So, to propose, we're going to be in the area of 4,000 pounds per year. They are currently at 20,000 pounds per year. So to put 20,000 pounds into 20,000 square feet versus 4,000 pounds into 20,000 square feet, you know, it's a much different operation.
I think we all understand that it's
Yeah.
a smaller operation, but it's going to create something, and everybody, that, the reason everyone is here wants to make sure that we do our job and make sure that, so if we could continue this till the next meeting, and if you could have somebody who could walk us through how this works, and maybe have some, I don't know, some brochures about the equipment, that's the normal way the equipment, again, we could take a,
May I ask a question?
sure.
So, does your HVAC people have they worked with other cultivation facilities?
Yes.
Okay, because that's something else that I think would be, we'd like to hear
Just
about.
to waylay the people that, you know, are concerned because something else, and I understand, we're trying not to paint you with the same brush. You're a small operation compared to what they're doing. We just want to make sure everybody understands what's going on before.
One other thing you could consider doing is just do an aerial photo with graphics showing the Taylor Street adjacent houses and your building adjacent houses.
We can do that.
And so that it's not words, it's a physical
Sure.
representation.
Okay. If I may, I'd like, you know, this is Attorney Silverman with Vicente Cedarburg. He's represented a number of cultivation facilities in the state, so I'd like for him to just
Absolutely.
speak to that and to the odor control.
Thank you. So, just, again, I have met all of you before, actually, during the retail portion of this. We represent probably about 30 or 40 cultivators in Massachusetts, and my firm actually represents a number around the country. This was an enormous problem 10, 15 years ago. That's not to say that it isn't a problem now. Obviously, you're experiencing that here in town. I hear that. But it's not the norm. I can think of 3 or 4 in Massachusetts that are having problems. Believe it or not, generally what the problem is poor execution. It tends to be leaving doors open. In one case, we had a client that had an enormous problem, and they went back and we brought the construction people in, went up on the roof and found out that there were holes that were left open all over the roof. I mean, that was literally the whole problem, and the problem is gone now. This was up in Holliston. By and large, you know, everybody keeps asking what's the technology. It is, part of it is these carbon filters, and and I'm not an engineer, but I will tell you, I have been told by several people that when you have a problem, if some of that air gets into those hallways and such, if you have a problem, a continuing problem, you add an additional carbon filter until you deal with the problem. In other instances, it's as I said, people leaving doors open. It's the way they do things. We had a situation where, you know, the employees basically opened a back door of the facility because they just wanted to have access to the outside, and that caused the problem. I would suggest to you, we can bring anybody you want in who can explain something. The system is being designed now. It hasn't been fully designed. So we can show you the type of equipment that is used in these things. But what you really want to do, I think, which is what a lot of the boards that I'm in front of do, is you have a condition that states pretty clearly that the odor cannot be detected by a person with a normal sense of smell standing at the property line. And you enforce that. And that's, you know, we see that over and over and over again. And I can tell you that by and large, these cultivation facilities have not been a problem, especially when you start talking about a smaller sized one like this. So, you know, I just wanted to give you sort of a context and overview of how this is working in Massachusetts.
Yes, I'm sure we will condition it something like that, but there's a lot of people out here, and I think they would like to see a little bit more. That's,
Sure.
you know, I'm gonna, a couple more questions. Somebody different, please?
Yes, my name is Jim Curran. I'm sitting next to my neighbor, Nancy Robinson. We are the 2 closest neighbors to the existing sanctuary medicinal facility. So, 5 years ago, we heard a similar engineering argument that there will be a building within building and almost no smell. And in my case, I think that is largely true. I think the people have tried to do the very best they can to engineer and operate their facility so that it would have minimal impact. But there is some impact. The worst time that I remember was when Nancy was getting a lot of bad odor, and it turned out that it was just because people going in and out the door of the facility, even though they have scrubbers in a room within a room. So rather than us trying to estimate what's going to happen with the engineering solution, because most of us are not engineers, I'm not an engineer, I would suggest that we take the community monies that are coming from these facilities and use them for a keep whole fund for people who have odor impacts. Because if you look at the proposal says some tens of thousands of dollars are to be contributed to Littleton. Well, there are people who will probably have some impact. We've had some impact. One of our neighbors trying to sell our house has had some impact. There is some impact, even when good people are trying to do the right thing, there is still some impact. I hope in this case, there is none, but we can't say that there won't be.
Thank you. I'm going to take one or two more, and then we're going to continue it. You had something different?
Nancy Morrison, 1256 Hill Road, directly across from Sanctuary. I've toured it, I've seen everything. The impression that people have is low ceiling, rain, snow, whatever. I sat on my front porch today, and on my front porch, I smelled marijuana. I've had to explain to my little grandchildren that are 5 years old, and at that time, the 3-year-old, they thought a skunk was behind the wall and they were scared. I've had to tell them it wasn't a skunk, it's marijuana. So I've had to tell them that. We've had 4 neighbors who have moved out of the neighborhood, not been transferred, as people might think, but one of them purposely took a cut and pay, moved out. Another one sold, the other one up the road here. Now the realtor got out of the car with the person, and they said, no, stinks here. So, and it's not just my house across the street. You can smell it all the way down to the train station. So you can smell it there all the time. So it is there. It is nauseating. I've had people drive by and send me a note saying, I didn't see the skunk, but did you clean it up? So I've had that comment. Anna has been to my house and she has smelled it. Jim Greffy's been to my house 2 or 3 times. Any one of you want to come sit on my porch, spend the day out there, you'll see it doesn't come in a wave. My next door neighbor is complaining if she leaves her garage door open, it comes in because the wind blows that way, it goes in a garage, up the stairs, and if they open the door to the kitchen, they smell the marijuana there. They're waiting for their child to graduate. As soon as the child graduates, they're out of here. They've had it. They're out of here.
Can I ask a question?
So we are running into this in the neighborhood, like Jim will tell you. People have left because of that smell. And they've tried to do the best they can do. When they first started, I could smell chocolate chip cookies, brownies, cough drops, all of that. They were cooking it there, making it there, and you could smell it all. So it does escape the building. Like Anna was there that one day with me for a couple hours. She could smell it. We try to deal with it. And Jim Greffy's been excellent going by my house. He lives in Boxborough, so he goes by my house and he smells it. So, we've been trying to work with it. So we were promised a whole bunch of things when they came to us. And the board, a lot of the members are still here. We were promised a whole bunch of things, and every single thing we were promised has not really come true. So I don't know. I'm leery of it. The people on Beaver Brook Road, you are going to smell it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get away with it.
Yeah, thank you for
Any
that.
of you, you're all welcome to come to my home, sit there.
Thank you, ma'am.
So can I ask a question? So you mentioned that Jim has been by your house. Have you guys worked with Sanctuary or had meetings with them? And
We've gone in as neighbors to Sanctuary.
what have they done anything? And what have they said?
Well, they tell us that they're working on, units, like
Well,
Jim had to put up a fence.
The time that was difficult, they added another carbon filtering system because you're getting a lot of smell when they just opened the front door. And they fixed it. So I don't have much of a sense of smell, but it does bother me, but I think the wind pushes things toward Nancy.
Okay. All right, one more, and then we're gonna continue.
Okay, again, a legal type question, both the attorney and to the board. This is a special use permit, and the applicant has said that he only intends one level of, not that many plants. But I think the truth is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that if he decides 3 months later that he's gonna do 4 high, there will be no rehearing on that, he will just do that, or is that wrong?
No, you're wrong there. He's gonna have to come back if we condition his approval on how many square feet he can cultivate. He's gonna have to come back if he decides to expand it.
No, not square feet, I'm talking.
Well, that's cubic feet then, however you wanna, yeah, he's gonna have to keep going.
If I
Which
could-
Sanctuary, to be honest with you, Sanctuary did come back and tell us they were adding a third bay. We didn't have any issues with it, because at that time, we all knew, but we didn't know anything other than that. They just decided that they're gonna reconfigure it.
But it's not square footage.
It's cubic
it's
feet.
up. Yeah.
Cubic feet, well, however we write the
And
decision.
so, originally, you guys didn't think there was any problem, but obviously there is a problem. So I'm hoping that you consider that all these homeowners here do have rights, the right to enjoy their property.
I think we're gonna all go out to look at the current facility. You're gonna show us a map of where everybody is in approximation of yours. You're gonna bring an expert with the system that you're proposing, and maybe some other towns that have used it and it's working successfully there. Whatever you can bring us to our next meeting would be greatly appreciated, because obviously there are a lot of people here, and there's a lot of people that are concerned, as is the board.
Yeah, and we'll do that. And if I could just respond to that last.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. So the license that we're pursuing is, there's a threshold to it, so with the state. So we've proposed a tier 2, which cannot exceed 10,000 square feet in canopy. So canopy is the term that we're referring to here by triple stacking it. If we get into even a double stacked, so 2 levels, we would exceed our canopy that we're already proposing to the state. So we can't do that. That's number one. Number two, physically, the ceiling height won't allow for it. The ceiling height there is 13 and a half feet to the bottom of the trusses. It's not enough room to effectively double tier.
Put a second level.
Put a second level. So that's why we're proposing what we're proposing as well. That's another reason.
So is there a way to do, like, negative pressure doors? So you can't have some employee that says, it stinks in here, and opens the door and makes the problem go out through the neighborhood. Maybe you have a series of doors that if they're negative pressure, one doesn't open unless the other one closes.
There's all sorts of design techniques, and our goal is to just simply stand behind that we will not create an odor that will be a nuisance. That's what we stand behind, and, if we're gonna continue here, and
Yep.
I can, provide as much material and, provide as much consultation as I possibly can to, help,
That would be great,
With this
because
situation.
obviously there's a lot of people here that are concerned. Also, can we get something from the Board of Health as to why we're still having a smell at
I'll ask Jim to provide an update on
yes, and what his
any recent activity
his
there.
position on it is too.
Right.
That would be great. Okay, so we can continue this till, so that you know what time to,
Yep.
you've been, one quick one.
Just quick. I'm Audrey Barra from 400 Newtown Road. Is OSHA going to be on your back? Constantly watching over your shoulder?
OSHA, no.
No? They don't
This-
have anything to do with this?
You don't have anything to do with OSHA.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with OSHA, and I doubt very much he's gonna have anything to do with
Okay.
OSHA.
What government is going to,
The building department.
Building Department and
Yeah.
Cannabis Control Commission will be the licensing person for him, and they'll be the one overseeing what he's proposing and
yeah, but
ultimately.
I mean, after it's done? To go
Building
out to
Department.
make sure?
The Building Department is the enforcement agent.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so
Well,
time.
that doesn't-
So if we leave half an hour from Monarch Drive, do this one at 7:15, Thursday, July 14th.
There's a guy in the back room who's bigger than me, and he's making faces unless I let him talk.
Jakeman, 8 Deer, Run Road. I just had a question. How are they measuring the smell? Is there any way, like, obviously, the smell is an opinion of people, right? Like, so it seems like he's getting punished based off opinions. And I just, if there's a standard for everybody, for every business in town, I feel like then there's a way to measure it. But if it's just certain people's opinions of a smell that they find offensive, I kind of find it hard to punish one person when there's other businesses in town that may emit odors that other people disagree with as well.
How is
And
it?
just how do you measure it? Like what do you say is an offensive smell?
Okay, Maren can kind of address
Right,
that.
so DEP, the state regulations quantify or qualify what's an air contaminant and air pollution in their definitions. So that's according to state law.
Would you mind reading that, please?
Air pollution means the presence in the ambient airspace of one or more air contaminants or combinations thereof in such concentrations and of such duration as to A, cause a nuisance, B, be injurious on the basis of current information, potentially injurious to human or animal life, to vegetation or to property, or C, unreasonably interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property or the conduct of business.
That's it there. That's it there.
But you
That's the
read
definition.
previously that it was a
Across the street from-
reasonable person standing on the property line.
Right, and those, a complaint for the current site would go to the Board of Health agent and to follow up on.
So has anyone made a formal complaint about sanctuary?
Well, that's what I asked earlier.
Well, no, they
Yes,
work
they
with
have.
as
Yeah.
neighbors, but have you made a formal complaint?
And when she referenced that Jim had come out, Jim
Okay.
Garvey had come out, that's the
So
process.
we'll get information from Mr. Griffey for the meeting is going to be when?
Thursday, July 14th, 7:15 PM in this room.
7:15, so you all know you don't have to come 2 hours.
7:15 for this topic?
What?
7:15 for this topic?
Correct.
And that won't change?
That won't change, never does.
Once it's posted.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, one more thing. Yes, Anna?
may I say something?
Yes.
So, I'm a proud little Tonian for the last almost 6 years. Before that, I was in Denver, Colorado. And so Denver, Colorado was one of the, I think it was the second state in the country to legalize marijuana. And it smelled across the entire city, and it was awful. And when Nancy called me over, I drove over that morning and was like, oh, God, there's that smell. The one thing that I will say is that when we developed the marijuana bylaw, we used the best information that we had available, and we, as a town, also want to make sure that we are open to economic development, which is what this is as well. But there is this whole smell issue that is upon us, and the question came up as to how many cultivating licenses there can be. There is currently no limit, and so I would suggest that for any resident who would like to do something about it, that you make yourself known. There is a way to be able to petition, to be able to have something at town meeting, to be able to cap it. You can come to the planning board, you can go to the select board meetings and make your feelings known that we want to cap it so that we don't become known as, oh, you're driving by, oh, what's that smell? Oh, it's Littleton. So that is one of those things that it cannot be done by one person alone. It has to truly be a community that says, okay, we opened the doors, but now we want to stop the door from being open, and this is the number that we're willing to do or not do. It has to be a community effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. And now we have to kick you all out. We have to go into executive session.
Should we move, do we have to do a
Yeah, he would,
Motion to close the hearing. and go
no,
into-
to continue.
Not closing the hearing.
Closing the meeting. then.
No, hang on. He's going to continue the public hearing first.
I'm going to move to continue the public hearing to 7:15.
Paul, Thursday? Let us know.
Can we, someone second
Well,
it?
hold on.
Not yet.
Can we continue it or not yet?
Yes, I made the motion to continue.
Second it.
Okay, all
All
in
in favor,
favor?
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then we need to dissolve the meeting.
Well,
Wait, he's gonna tell us what
Ethan
we're
will
doing.
walk us through going into
Okay.
executive session and not reconvening. How are you?
What? I don't have a problem if you stay. Does anyone have a problem if town administrator stays?
No?
No?
Are we off?
No, Ethan, if you would walk us through the proper procedure to go out of the,
To get out of our
Regular
public
session
meeting
into
to our
session.
executive session. We'll do that after.
and not reconvene.
Sure, if we could have a motion to enter executive session to discuss litigation, active litigation, public discussion of which could have a detrimental effect on the town's litigation strategy and position. Could have a motion with a roll call vote to enter executive session and adjourn without re-entering public session.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation that we don't want in a public forum, for they have a detrimental effect on our bargaining for this. And I'll entertain a motion to go into a roll call vote to go into executive session
And not,
Not reconvene.
and not reconvene after.
He said it much better.
He did, all right. Then want a second his? Someone want a
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, we
one
have
by
to do a
one.
roll call.
Well,
One by
but
one. All right.
are there two motions or one?
Just one.
One.
One motion. and a
Okay,
roll
so,
call.
Talisa?
Aye.
aye.
Jeff, aye. Okay, Bartlett?
Bartlett, aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Mark Montanaro, I'm an aye. Okay, so we're now shutting it.